Hello, my comic collecting chums. Welcome to another episode of People with Issues. And after a brief hiatus, we are back with a bang, starting with my very good friend, all the way from Texas, the legend that is comic collector coach Doug. How you
Hey,
doing, buddy?
Paul. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very good and very pleased to have you here. It's taken us a bit of time to get the time arranged and some technical challenges, which hopefully won't come up during this. But
Fingers crossed.
we'll get on with it just to be on the safe side. So, for anybody who's not aware, you do have a YouTube channel, which now and again you drop content onto. And we've got a mix of interviews, features on pickups and books and things, and tips generally related to the art of comic collecting. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. When I started my channel, one of the things that I wanted to do, because as a kid growing up, I didn't really have a guide or a coach, if you will, to point me in the right direction, the do's, the don'ts. For instance, when I was a kid buying comic books, I bought full three-ring binder sleeves and put them in there,
Yeah.
but they didn't have holes for the rings of the binder. So I had to punch holes into the sleeves. And that meant that the spines of my comics were just rubbing on those rings every time I would flip a page over. And so I didn't have anybody to say, hey, that's probably not the best way to store your books. So as I got older and learned, all those things, I thought, what if there was somebody out there putting out content to help maybe guide collectors, whether they're seasoned veterans or brand new to collecting comics, and kind of give them some tips, do's, don'ts, how to display things, what products are good, what products maybe are not so good. And so that's kind of what the aim of my moniker, the comic collector coach, really was when I put that all together.
And one thing I would say is, at least at an early age, you were making an effort to protect your comics, even if in doing so.
Sure. I would observe. I'd go in the comic book store or bookstore and hear people talking or see things, and I'd be like, oh, I need those, or I need this, and I would get stuff, and I had this kind of hodgepodge amalgam of a collection, and it was okay, and I still have, I think, just about every single one of those books, and they're in decent shape. But yeah, it took a lot of time and experience and wisdom to figure out what was not so good to get to where we're at now.
Yeah. We're going to come back to that later on. I do have a sneaky little challenge that I hadn't told you about in relation to that. We're going to do a little bit of a test, see how good of a coach you actually are.
Okay.
So going back to those early books, you were telling me previously some of the early stuff you're into were things like Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite stuff, favorite characters and things that you got into at the start?
Yeah. So, being a child born in the early mid 80s, I kind of came of age at a time when we were hitting that sweet spot of 80s, 90s cartoons for comic book stuff. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my favorite cartoon for sure. I loved Masters of the Universe, Transformers, Thundercats, and then as we got into the 90s, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man, Iron Man, just about anything. If it was comic book related, I was watching it, and I was digesting it in some form. So that said, my favorite characters were Iron Man, Wolverine, Spider-Man. For more or less, those characters, they were so prevalent. They were everywhere all the time. So those were my big favorites.
It's funny, I think, for people of, and I hate saying this, but people of my generation going back a bit further, you hear sort of similar things. So,
Sure.
in the 70s, I was getting, reruns of Batman, the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman was on TV. And then a little later in the 70s, we had like the Hulk and Spider-Man.
Sure.
We don't talk about the Spider-Man TV series too much, but
right.
and there was a cartoon I really liked. It was a DC one. The young is it the Teen Titans or the League of Kids or something?
Yeah, Teen Titans did come around, I think, later.
I think it was Super Friends, actually.
Super Friends, yep. Yeah, that was I think that was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Yeah, I watched a lot of those reruns for sure.
Yeah. Even though my first comics ended up being getting into Marvel stuff somehow, but hey ho.
You're right.
So I set you a number of comic book related questions. So should we get into one of those?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So the first one I asked you, and it's a bit of an unusual question maybe, but I asked you to show me a book that you would actually like to have appeared in yourself.
Sure.
So that's not Doug as Power Girl or Doug as Spider-Man. That's Doug as Doug.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I picked the perfect book and series for that. Excuse me. Being the huge Transformers fan that I am, I think that if I had to choose a book to be in, it would be Transformers.
Wow.
I just, now this is the Mylar Magic is hiding. This is a very low grade copy.
Sure.
But, it's one that and I only just picked up Transformers #1 late last year, but it's definitely, one where always loved the story, what kid doesn't love giant robots that transform, right? So, reading through it now as an adult, that's definitely the kind of the world that I want to be in, is that Transformers world.
So is that sort of, when you're kind of imagining being there, is it just like observing these incredible machines, or is it about the environment?
I think it's just the idea that humans would interact with this robot alien species and just, the awesome power that they have, and just being, in comparison, excuse me, this tiny human being in comparison to this giant robot. I just always thought that was a really cool, melding of two different species, if you will. And the story is great. So even the Transformers now is really great. So it's always held up. It's always piqued my interest, and I've always paid attention to Transformers since childhood. So it's just one of those childhood loves that if I could insert myself into it, that would be amazing.
Yeah. It's funny because that's a series I've still never read a Transformers comic.
I think you might enjoy it.
Well, what I can say is, so I think when the cartoons and stuff were on TV, I was probably just hit that age where I wasn't really watching TV or cartoons. And then when I worked in a very large grocery store, I had this horrible Christmas where people were behaving horribly trying to obtain a Optimus Prime, is it?
Yeah.
And honestly, the threats and the bribes and
oh geez, I can imagine.
It's unbelievable. But then and sort of getting into comics and what have you, and there's been a few specific American things, if you like, that I've been able to try, like G.I. Joe. So it's only recently I read my first G.I. Joe comic, and I thought I'm gonna have to try Transformers because it's so popular. I have seen some of the movies and really enjoyed those, but the nearest I got, I think, was Shogun Warriors, and I don't know if that's
that's not quite, similar, not the same type of thing. It's not quite the same. I think something that would probably be a little bit closer is maybe Voltron, but even that's, human pilots inside of the machine, not sentient robot species. So it's a little bit different, but I've always enjoyed it. The writing's held up, regardless of who's writing it over the years. It's always been a pretty decent read.
Well, I'm definitely going to ramp up my search now. And part of that, I know, so maybe an unusual sort of kind of hypothetical type question to lead with, but coming back to the coaching side of stuff, recently you and Nate from Hull Yeah have done a couple of excellent episodes on sort of mental health and collecting and stuff like that. Now
Sure.
it sounds like I was trying to test your mental health to see what sort of bizarre scenario. That wasn't where I was going with that. It was just
Sure.
to establish. Let's have a look at Doug's mindset.
No, I didn't feel that way at all.
Let's get on to safer ground, will we?
Sure.
I also asked you to show me a book that you consider to be underrated, and that can
Absolutely
be underrated in terms of value, in terms of how it gets talked about, or whatever angle you're coming from.
Sure.
What did you bring?
Sure, absolutely. So this one I didn't really get into when it was in print, but as we mature, sometimes our interests change a little bit, or we can appreciate more mature humor a little more. And so this book and series is just really fantastic. The Midnighter, and this was originally published on Wildstorm, which got acquired by DC. So Midnighter continued to be written under I think it was DC Vertigo actually, but under the DC publishing. But Midnighter is a great story. So he originally appears in Stormwatch #4, I believe, which I've not read much of, but it's one of those big, indie Image '90s titles. Ran for quite a while, and Midnighter was not. I don't recall. Again, I haven't read much of Wildstorm, but I don't think he was a staple character. He appeared. That was his first appearance, but they gave him his own title, and it's just a really good story. I mean, he's a almost like a mix between Batman and Captain America, if you will. He's got super strength. He's really fast. And then this is written by Garth Ennis. So if you're a Garth Ennis fan and you haven't read The Midnighter, I think you'd really enjoy it. I mean, it's gory. There's coarse language. So it's all the things you get from a typical Garth Ennis story. But the premise of this is that he goes, I don't want to spoil too much, but he basically, he's part of this team. They've got their kind of like the Justice League has their, Hall of Justice, or their, depending on which iteration you're talking about, their like space station command center. Similar, but he basically gets drugged and kidnapped. And then this guy tells him, you're going to go back in time and you are going to kill Hitler for me because you're the only man that can do it. And so he's like, well, I don't want to do that. They finally come to terms like, okay, fine. Like, don't hurt my loved ones, and I'll go do what you want me to do. And then it's just him doing that. And then he breaks the time laws. And so the time police come after him. It's just a really interesting story. I don't want to give too many key components of it away, because if you haven't read it, it really is pretty cheap to attain, and it's a great read.
Wow,
but in my opinion, highly underrated.
It definitely sounds intriguing, and you had me at coarse language and gory. So
yeah, right. Check those two boxes, and the rest doesn't matter, right?
So is that a limited series?
No, I think it was just, Wildstorm was just I think it was one of their launch titles, because it even says on here, Worldstorm starts now. And I think that's just part of like their tie-in. But like, I don't think Wildstorm existed for a very long time, and maybe a couple of years. So they printed, I don't remember how many issues they printed under the Wildstorm publishing name before they got acquired by DC. But DC did bring the character, they launched a series, and I want to say that went to 40 or 50 issues, the DC series. The Wildstorm one, it kind of changes a dozen or so, maybe 20 or so issues in over to the DC title. And the story evolves. But
when is that from?
This one's from 2007.
Right. Okay.
So, he appeared in, I want to say, late 90s, early 2000s in Stormwatch. And so then he got his own series in 07 with Wildstorm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very good. I've never heard of that at all.
A lot of people haven't. And when I bring it up and then they're like, what about it makes it underrated? I'm like, the writing's just really good. I think it's at the kind of the early stages of Garth Ennis's writing career. And I think that's because this came out after Pro. I don't know if you've read the Pro, which was his first. I think he was the head writer on.
He was doing, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed. So he did the Preacher and Punisher and
Punisher. His Punisher series is excellent. Yeah.
But no, that's really cool. Thank you for that. It's nice to see something completely like, what the hell is that?
Right.
That's really cool. So follow that up. Another book-related question I asked you is, can you show? So this is Cover Love. Can you show me a book? And it's all about the cover. It's just like you never tire of looking at it for some reason. It's just
absolutely. This is my favorite book in my collection, and it is Werewolf by Night, number 32, first appearance of Moon Knight.
Yeah,
and just the book itself, from cover to cover, is great. The writing's good, the story's good, everything's good, the art's fantastic. But just something about early Moon Knight, given Werewolf by Night the business, and the blues and the trade dress is one of my favorite things. I've always loved this trade dress, the blues and the purples, and just how the stark contrast of Moon Knight standing out there on the cover. It's just one I never tire of just looking at. Every time I come into my office, it's displayed prominently on the wall. It's got its own display in the middle of everything else, and just it's perfect. I mean, Don Perlin and Al Milgrom, just this cover alone, they just knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
And that's, I mean, I like that trade dress. I like the font for Werewolf.
You're right.
A dark background like that. I mean, it absolutely bounces off the page. It's
right.
It's quite something.
Yeah, it's one that and this isn't in a super high grade. It's in a mid grade. It's a 6.0, and I didn't buy it for the grade, but it just presents so well, and when it looks good, it looks really good.
Yeah. What have you got that in? Is that a capsule?
No, this is a. Actually, we can being the coach and talking about good products. This is actually called a Key Guard. It's a gentleman by the name of Scott Summers. It's funny, I know it sounds shares the name of Cyclops, but started this company, Key Guard, and what it is, it's like it's not silicone. It's I can't remember. He told me the name of the plastic compound that it is, but it's a bumper for the slab. And what's interesting about it is he's integrated these hanging slots here in the back. Yeah. So this is strong enough plastic. It's hard, but not so hard that it would crack if it were to drop. So you can actually mount this straight on the wall from these little cutouts here. And now that's not how I have mine displayed. I have it behind a acrylic sheet. It's UV protectant and all that stuff. I've done the whole nine. But I just thought it made the cover pop quite a bit, putting it on there. And so it just looks good standing out from a white wall.
It certainly does. So can you get those in different colors too?
Yes, he's got, I think right now, You can find him on Instagram at Keyguard Official. This is the name of his page. But he's got blue, black, red, yellow, green. He's having remade because they sold out immediately. Pink. He's got a couple of. There's like a frosted. It's like white, but it's not in your hand. It's not really white. It's more of like a translucent,
Right.
Like a frosted glass. He's got a glow in the dark one, and he's working on some more colors, but then he's got some that are like a two-tone, like a red into black and a yellow into black and then a blue and red, I think. But yeah, check him out. It's a great product if you want to protect your slabs on the corners, because we all have anyone who's owned graded books has either dropped a book or knows someone that's dropped a book and damaged the case of the slab. So it's definitely a cheap extra protective measure you can take.
Yeah, before we got into that, I should have said, and now a word from our sponsors. For clarification, neither myself nor Doug are spokespersons for Doug.
Correct. Not endorsed by him at all, but being the coach that I am, I wouldn't be doing my duty to the moniker if I didn't shout out a good product. And he's a super nice guy.
It's funny to think though. In my day, you would go to a store, you would buy a comic, you would take it home, read it, put it in a box or something, or a cupboard, closet or something at the end of your bed. And now it's you buy it, it goes on a board in a bag, it gets slabbed, the slab gets put in a Keyguard, and I'm looking forward to next year's range of Keyguard protectors. There's going to be another layer. But that's very well timed. I think this is the perfect time to introduce the challenge.
All right.
If you're up for it, okay. So what I'll do, I'll switch it around. So what I've done, and see, talking about the Keyguard there, and one of your videos on sort of tips for storage and display, you had a video sort of looking at a few different products, which made me think of this. So what I've done, Doug, is I've selected 3 books from my collection, and each one is stored in a different way.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if you think each one is appropriate. That's all.
Sure.
Is the method I've chosen appropriate? So what I'll do is I'll just do the old switcheroo. So the first one is this rather nice House of Secrets 94.
Oh yeah.
Now it's only about a 4 or something. It's actually got a bit of a hole in the cover there, but it's a book nonetheless. So I've got this in a Mylite. It's a gold silver age Mylite. It's got a full back backing board because I like my backing boards nice and thick.
Sure. Yep.
And that's it. So it's not an expensive book given the grade. I chose that I like it in this because I think it displays it, my
sure.
help with everything. So
sure.
do you think that's appropriate?
Honestly, yeah. That's exactly how I store my books that aren't either being displayed or in a CTC or otherwise type of graded slab. Yeah, absolutely. That's appropriate for sure.
Oh, okay. We're 1 for 1. The second one, so this is an older book. It's a more valuable book. And that is Daredevil #3.
Oh, yeah. Great one.
Now, to my horror, just as we were about to start recording this, I realized this is one that I've not yet upgraded to Mylar, but it will be getting upgraded to Mylar. But this one's in a top loader. And
okay.
That is just purely because the book's a little bit more expensive.
Sure.
It's just a little bit of extra protection. That's all
sure.
it is.
Sure.
Go on.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with top loaders. I've never been a huge fan just because of the cost. So if you're one of those that wants to store every single book in a top loader and then put them in your short box or your long box, you're probably going to spend a lot more than you would like to. But for bigger books like that, number 3 in a breakout series, it's a key, because first appearance of the owl. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing I would recommend is if that's an older top loader, upgrade to one that has UV protectant acrylic, because then you get that extra layer of protection. Because if it's a beautiful book like that, and you want to display it at any point, that UV protectant compound that they put in that acrylic will keep that book from fading from light damage and all that stuff. At least it's not 100%, but it'll extend the life of the book for sure.
That's a very good point. Excuse me. What I will say, just to assure you personally, this one lives down here,
okay,
where the Daredevil collection, and everything in my collection has been UV tested.
Good deal.
I know a couple of people look at the reflection of this Avengers book up here and go, but
right.
It's not direct light UV tested.
Sure.
Okay, so we're 2 for 2 then, and I like that. That's a good thought, actually. If the supplies are expensive, think about, if you can't put all of your collection in an expensive safety thing,
right?
Think about which books you would, spend
exactly
money on the protection. So the third one, do you like Swamp Thing?
I do.
You like Bernie Wrightson? I
love Bernie Wrightson.
So the third one is Swamp Thing issue 3, and it's in a pair of underpants.
I can't say that's the best way to store a book, but it's probably not the worst.
Probably not the worst. They're clean.
Sure. That's a step in the right direction, but I definitely would, lose the underpants and swap that out for one of your My Lights and a thick backing board.
That seems fair. That seems fair. I will say this this issue has a missing wrap, so if anyone's kind of getting squinky about how it's being handled, just calm down. Right, we know what we're doing.
Right.
It is available for trade, as are the underpants. Now, okay. Well, Doug, I have to say the way you handled that was perfect. Really.
Thank you.
Every bit the coach, I feel like I'm coming away either validated or with some additional suggestions for how I might make improvements. Well done, sir.
I appreciate that. That's what I aim for. That's my goal.
Now, let's get back to your collection, because that's what we're here for.
Sure.
So, yes. Oh, a hypothetical question first.
Sure.
And again, I wanted to have a couple of these in here because really, as I said, with your recent forays into mindset stuff with Nate and Brian LCS and such, I asked you, which character's powers would you like to have? So this is not you being the Invisible Woman,
right?
But having the Invisible Woman's powers. And I'm
Sure.
sorry if that's who you're going to choose, but that's
no. That's okay. I thought for a long time about that, because there's so many characters that I really like. But if I thought about it for too long, I was like, I don't know, do I really want everything that comes with that? Everybody says, oh, Spider-Man's so cool, I'd love to be like Spider-Man. But then when you look at his personal life for so long was just in shambles, and because he put saving the city first, always. And you can't have the powers without that. So I think go ahead.
So I'm sorry, before you reveal, that's really interesting. See, that tells me something about you. Doug is a man who shirks responsibility. He's like, I want the powers, but I don't want what comes with it.
That's right. Give me the ease. Give me the easy stuff.
As someone who has served, I don't mean to be disrespectful. Let's just make
No,
it clear.
no, not at all. Not at all. I tell people all the time when they say something that may be a little off color or something, and I'll say, listen, I was in the Navy. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I've heard it all before. So,
strong to the finish. Please proceed.
But I think that even though I would have to sacrifice my eyesight, I think Daredevil is the guy that I would choose. Because he's just, in the early books, he's just so cool. Like, he can do everything. He can hear a heartbeat from somebody from 20 blocks away and, all that stuff. It's just a really cool thing to think about. And then at the end of the day, yes, he's physically blind, but is he really? He always seems to know where everything is, knows, maybe, I wouldn't go so far as to say he knows what color things are, but like, he knows who's walking down the street. He knows, if a car ran a red light. And so I think that's always been a fascinating thing, on top of being in peak physical condition and acrobatic and all of that. I just, I think that's who I would choose.
Yeah. So on the plus side, I would say that, it said who, the powers you would like to have. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you would be blind.
That's true. That's true.
On the downside, there is a downside to this. You're going to have to work your ass out for the gymnastic and athletic stuff, because that's not
100%.
That's hard work. So,
right.
I mean,
right.
You look like you could cope with that. Me, I'd be like, I'll be more like, I don't know if you remember when it was one of, I happen to know it was somewhere between issues 13 and 20 of Daredevil, because I read it the other night, and Foggy dressed up in a Daredevil outfit to try and fool Karen Page into thinking he was Daredevil, and all the bad guys and all the police are going, he's flabbier than I expected.
You're right.
Yeah, I think it's no, it's absolutely bonkers. But that's really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, particularly, oh gosh, being able to tell when people are lying. Would you want to know?
Right. I think that's part of it. The allure is just having that ability, and no one is aware that that. That just the kind of the secret part of it is. I don't know. I've just always been fascinated by Daredevil. I think he's who I would choose.
Yeah.
Captain America would be a strong runner-up.
Oh, yeah. That's quite good, because it's kind of like you could do all sorts of extraordinary things, but you kind of don't have to.
Right.
I'm all for an afternoon off, but no, it's a great choice, and it's nice. It's we've seen Daredevil's come up a couple of times in this episode, and Daredevil's a character we sort of connected because of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which was really so he'll always have a special place in our hearts.
That's right.
Yeah, Daredevil, the man without beard.
Most of the time.
How did it come to be that? So I happen to know your Daredevil run is pretty extensive.
Sure. Yeah, I've been working on it pretty consistently for going on 2 years now. But yeah.
Have you got a long way to go to complete volume 1? Are you not planning to complete all of it?
No, I want to complete entire volume 1 to 380. And I think at last count, I'd really have to, I kind of forget, I kind of get a bunch in a short amount of time, and then I store them and I catalog them, and then I just kind of forget where I'm at until I'm looking again. But I think I've got about 67 left to go.
Okay. That's cool. And are you not a guy for like using an app or a spreadsheet or anything for?
I use Comic Geeks, League of Comic Geeks, because it's free, and that's just for cataloging. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not big on or as interested in, I guess, some of the apps or the sites where it gives you the value, the fair market value or the estimated value. just because I'm not interested, A, in paying for something just to catalog the books, and B, most of my collection I'm not really ever going to get rid of or sell in any capacity. So it's not an important aspect to me. Not that there's not value there. There absolutely is. And anybody that uses CLZ or Cover Price or whatever you use, keep doing it if that's what you love. It's just not for me. So that's what I use. That's I keep it updated pretty regularly.
Okay, cool. All right. So coming back to the books, then
Sure.
Another big question we have to look into is what kind of matters most to you. So let me put this to you, Doug.
Sure.
You'd said that one of your favorite characters was Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's imagine you're sitting, you're in your comic room, you're enjoying an issue of Iron Man, and the doorbell goes. You go to the door. The family are away somewhere, so let's just get that out of the way. You go to the door, you open the door, and holy geez, it's the Mandarin. So I've gone for a classic Iron Man villain here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're good with that. Okay, and not who you'd expect to see cutting about Texas.
Not at all.
On a Wednesday afternoon or whenever it happens to be, but he's he's kind of standing sideways on because his chauffeur-driven evil Rolls Royce type things sitting at the curb, and there's smoke belching out the back, and the chauffeur's under the bonnet or the hood, as you would say, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Mandarin's kind of not for sitting there while I get sorted out. He'd like a cup of tea, and he turns around and he's like, "Right, my good fellow," and then he's struck by the beard, and he can't resist. He reaches out to stroke the beard. You're like, what the hell? But it's the Mandarin. What's going on? He strokes the beard. The beard gets caught in one of his rings, and you try to pull away, and he gets dragged with you, and you fall, and he starts to panic, and suddenly the rings start going off. You've got spiders coming out of one, you've got bubbles coming out of another, you've got lasers coming out of the other. You get free, you get your beard free of his ring hand, and you think, right, I don't know what's going to happen with these rings going off and all sorts of things happening all over my house, but I know I've got only one chance to get to my comic room, grab one comic, and get the hell out of there, in the hopes Shellhead will turn up in time to save the rest. All of that leads me to ask you, what book are you saving, Doug?
That's a great question. In that super likely event, I think if I had to grab just one, it would be this guy right here. This is Man-Thing #1, but as you can see, it's a little bit, some of the colors are a little bit different, and that's because this is the Australian reprint from 1979 from Yappa Publishing. And so the reason that this would be the book that I choose is because I've never seen another one. Not online for sale, not in person. A seller had this on Instagram. He posted it. I immediately said, "Hey, I'm interested in that. I've never seen that before." He said, "I've never seen one either. I likely won't ever get another one. This is the price." And I said, "Done. I don't just take my money. I want that book." And it's just one of those. It's not one of a kind, but I've even reached out to some people, Neville Grailhunter. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
I've reached out to him. Reached out to Dave at Still Only 35 Cents and asked them, "Hey, do you have any knowledge about this Yappa Publishing print run of Man-Thing?" And the answer that I got from both of them was basically, it's too difficult to know that because those print run numbers were never made public anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And Yappa didn't have the licensing for a very long time. So they had it, they printed however many issues they printed and however many prints there were. and that's it. And then it went away. They didn't get the license back. And what's interesting about this book too is it's actually Man-Thing 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2. No, it's 3 issues. There's 3 issues in here in one binding, one wrap. And I'm not sure if they did that just to get, to get as much story on paper as they could, or I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was, but this is definitely one of those needle in a haystack type situations where finding another one would be extremely difficult, and I might even have to travel for it.
And it's pretty clear from the way you were describing, the way you acted when you saw it, or the way you reacted when you saw it. You're kind of like, I don't care. It must be mine at all.
Right. Right.
That's pretty much why it's the one, regardless of the other information surrounding it, it's pretty much the one you'd go for, because it's obviously
correct.
That probably could have ticked your. It sounds like it could have ticked your Cover Love box as well, and all sorts of other boxes.
Sure, yeah, but it fit perfectly into that one category. Like that's the house fire book, as the term that some people call it. But that's definitely the one that I would grab if it was just one.
Wow, that's amazing. So when was that? When was it printed?
This run, I believe, started in '79. So several years after Man-Thing appeared. 8 years, I guess, after Man-Thing appeared in '71 in Savage Tales #1. And then, Man-Thing went from Savage Tales 1 to, Tales to Astonish?
Yeah.
And then, and that was like issue 10, I think, is where it starts with him. And it's like 10, 11, and then, no, that's not right. That is. It's 12 and 13, I think, because Kazar is he shares a story with Kazar there. Before getting his solo series, which I think was in '73. So seems like they used him quite a bit, and then I don't know why Yappa got the licensing that many years later. I guess they just weren't using Man-Thing very much. But like I said, it was like '79, and then there is a run of that Yappa Publishing Man-Thing. I don't know how many issues it is because I've only ever seen issue #1 and #2 anywhere. Right. It's just interesting that they, the liberties they took with the cover, the art in the cover and stuff like that, because they're all a little bit different than the American version.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think it's something I commonly saw in, or you still see now in European countries, and I know a lot of the US collectors we know like picking these things up. But there'd be European companies in the UK before we had Marvel in the UK. There'd be companies sort of licensing the material and either putting it in books with material from other publishers. Or reproducing these kind of like basically it's a book about Iron Man. We'll call it what we want to, right? And we might have 2 stories from his regular series and another one from like the Avengers or Marvel Team Up or something else. But you'd see all sorts of odd publications. But that's fantastic. Have you got issue 2?
I do have it.
You want to? Excellent. Well, that's.
If you want to take a look at it, I can pull it out real quick here.
Oh, go on.
I'm actually planning, because I am going to Heroes Con this year. I'm planning to get both issue 1 and 2 signed by Roy Thomas.
Oh.
So here is Yappa Publishing Man-Thing #2.
Oh. Do you know what? I mean, you've got to love it, but it's not pretty, is it?
No, I mean it's in okay shape. I mean, it's not. It is actually the #1 is in much better shape, and I actually did do a video on my channel about that one because I had Matt from Impressed Comics work on that one, knowing that I wanted to have Roy Thomas sign it, and I do want to get it slabbed. I've read through it. You know, it's printed. The inside is no color, so it's just black and white, which isn't uncommon for other countries' reprints. But yeah, I had him clean and press it, and he did a lot of work to it, and it really looks sharp. But number two is in more of a probably like a VG condition.
I think it looks like they used all of their color budget on the cover.
Yeah, it is a lot of pink for sure. Yeah,
but yeah, definitely one that would jump off the shelves in outer Woolloomooroo or wherever it was they were sold.
Right.
That's absolutely amazing. I've seen some treats today. Okay, let's go back to if not mindset type thing. Emotions. I asked you to show me a book that makes you emotional, and didn't ask for any specific emotion. It's completely up to you whether it turns you into the Hulk or it makes you all soppy.
Well, this book didn't do either of those, but I enjoyed it so much, and I know that you did too because we've talked about it. Excuse me. But the one that I picked is actually a semi-recent book. It's Eve by our buddy John Mangello, and the reason I picked this is because from the time I discovered John and learned about Eve on the Nerdy Musings Sunday sketch that they do a live sketch. Yeah, their art stream. And I had hopped in and James said, "Hey, coach, you know, we just got finished talking about John's book, Eve. You should go check it out." And I was like, "You know what? I will." And I'll go. I looked at the synopsis and I was like, "Okay, Santa Claus. All right. Interesting." And then I read it and you know what? I've got to have that. So I ordered it. And since I've gotten this, not only have I become really good friends with John, as I know you have, but I've read this like 3 times.
Yeah,
that's more than I've read any other book that I've owned, other than maybe a couple of Moon Knight books that I just enjoyed the story so much that I've read multiple times over the years. I've read this 3 times this year, and I've just enjoyed it that much.
I was the same as so I mean, totally understand that. I was. I mean, I said directly to John that I'd seen when you look it up online and when you look at his gallery on Instagram and you see what he draws on the live art stream, you can see how good an artist he is, and it's different types of things he does. So from there on, it's a case of looking at somebody's portfolio and going, okay, is this the kind of thing I like or not? And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it looks really interesting. And I said to him, the sort of the blurb on the book basically says beards and axes. That's my expectation. I was really blown away by the writing.
Yeah, it's well done in every aspect that a comic book or a graphic novel could be done. It's very well done.
Yeah, and without spoiling it for anyone else, did you find that? I say one of the reasons it strikes you as being an emotional read. A lot of the stuff early in the book about the relationship between Santa and Mrs. Claus, if you like, I found that really moving.
Yeah, same. And when yes, it's a bloody, gory, violent story, but it centers around the love that they have. So absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm going to have to reassure people that we are not being sponsored by anybody.
Yeah, not being paid under the table, over the table, or in any other capacity.
I think we bloody well should be after it, but yeah, that's funny. So that's a couple of things you surprised me with that I've never heard of at all. One thing you've surprised me with that I've very much have heard of, and we've spoken a great deal about, which is great. So in terms of collecting, is there anything kind of big on the list that you're?
Yes. Ooh. In the future?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a few. So my two big, so my Werewolf by Night 32 is my grail. I wanted that for a really long time. Was able to finally pull the trigger on it 3 years ago now. And ever since then, when I started the Daredevil run, I knew that getting issues 1 through 10 were going to be a bit of a task.
Yeah.
I've managed to get most of them. I'm still missing 3, 4, 6, and 7, and number 1. So number 1 is Daredevil. Number 1 is probably right at the tippy top of the list, followed closely, if not tied, by Savage Tales 1, the first appearance of Man-Thing, because I am a big fan of Man-Thing. And so those two are my next two big books that I am always keeping an eye out for, checking the market for pricing and seeing what the temperature of the market is. But those are the two big ones that I'm looking forward to. And maybe I'll get lucky and find one at Heroes Con.
You might do. I'd like to be. I'd like to see that happen. I really would. And just again, kind of a collector's mindset type thing again. So last year, and I apologize for earlier, presenting a copy of Daredevil 3. I didn't. I probably knew the numbers you were after and sort of forgot. So apologies.
That's okay. I'm not gonna give you any hate for enjoying your collection.
Not at all. But when I got down to under maybe 100 issues of Daredevil to go, I had this grand plan that I was going to get everything except issue 1, and I was going to get issue 1 last, and I was going to find a shop in the States that had it, speak to them, buy it, and go and collect it in person. That was
sure.
But what happened was, right about this time last year, or maybe a little bit earlier, someone in the UK produced, a copy that I couldn't pass up. The price and the condition of it, I absolutely couldn't pass it up. And thereafter, It was like, well, I've got about 40, 50 issues to go. I might as well just get it done. So it felt a little bit more. I mean, still brilliant when I finished it.
Sure.
So sorry, all of that's leading to. Do you have any such thoughts like that, or does it not matter what order you get them in?
No, when I first had decided that I was going to go after the entire volume 1 of Daredevil, I kind of just, the only plan that I had was pick them up as I come across them, because there's a lot, and it didn't really matter where I started. But always in the back of my mind, I thought, well, number 1's probably going to be the most difficult to get, not because it's scarce or rare, but because of the price. And as I got further down that road, and as of course, COVID didn't do comic book collecting a lot of favors. The market kind of exploded and went in 1,000 different directions. But now I come to realize that you never know. Sometimes you might just stumble across one in a more comfortable price point, and it may not be an arm and a leg to pick up. Because I'm not necessarily trying to get a CGC graded 8.0 or anything like that. There's really no rhyme or reason for picking them up other than, or plan, I should say, for picking them up. Just kind of as I see them now, as I've whittled it down to less than 70 to go, I definitely have somewhat of a plan. Okay, I want to try to shoot for this one next, or maybe these 3 or 4 or something. But no set plan really.
All right, that's cool. Well, I'm going to very much enjoy watching that journey as it hurtles towards its conclusion. But so that's we've looked at comic collecting and your books from different angles, mentally, physically, spiritually, and whichever way you look at it, it's absolutely clear that you, sir, have issues, the very best kind. And I just want to say a big thank you for taking some time to share them with me today. It's been absolutely brilliant.
It's been a pleasure, Paul. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so for everybody else, there will be a link to Doug's channel in the description. And even without Doug's channel, you'll see him on everything else because he's that popular. But we'll have a wee bit more chat. For everyone else, thank you very much for tuning in. And until next time, stay groovy.